Police have opened fire on striking miners in South Africa almost a week after 3,000 of them walked off the job. At least 12 people have been injured, with 9 seriously wounded. The exact number of casualties can't be confirmed at this stage. Let's go straight to Al Jazeera's correspondent Tanya Page, who's in Rustenburg, near the scene of the shooting. Tanya, we're getting all kinds of conflicting reports coming out of there, whether any miners have actually been shot dead. What are you seeing and hearing?
At the moment, what I'm looking at is a scene where there are emergency services treating some of the wounded. They have not yet confirmed how many are dead, if people are dead. They have come out with preliminary figures and said at least 12 are down, 3 injured and 9 at least seriously injured, if not with life-threatening injuries. However, they said later on in the evening, when they have a handle on the situation more, because it is not only the scene that I'm looking at here, which is about maybe 300 metres from the boulder when these men were based, but because they drove them down into this area, many of them dispersed to the back of the boulder that we've been looking at for the last sort of 2 or 3 days, which they've been using as their base. And beyond that boulder, we heard more gunfire. We can see more flashing lights from emergency services back there. More tear gas is let off back there as well. So there could be, in effect, another scene where people are injured. So we will get those numbers at that police briefing, we believe.
And this isn't the first conflict between the miners and the police. And indeed, there's been conflict between rival miners themselves.
Yes, there has, and this really started on Friday with an illegal strike, mostly by members from one particular union. Now, over the following 3 or 4 days, up until Tuesday was when the last miner was killed, 10 people were killed in that union rivalry, and among those 10 people killed were 2 police officers. So on Monday, a huge number of police, up to 400, descended on this area, and since then, the striking miners have been locked in really a standoff, a stalemate with police. They've told police they didn't want to talk to the police. It was their bosses at London Mine that they wanted to come down here and address them. They want a big pay rise as well. They want $1,500 a month as opposed to $550, which they get now. Those managers refused to come down, and the police briefed us maybe 3 hours ago and said they just had no choice but to break up the group. And because 2 of their police officers had been killed and disarmed, they believed that there were at least 2 firearms among the 3,000 striking workers. So because of that, they deemed that it was not a peaceful protest, and that the level of threat was high, which is why they moved in with rubber bullets and live rounds.
And Tanya, this is obviously a violent climax to what has been an ongoing grievance by miners. We saw previous violence back in January by other mine workers. What is going on with the mining industry here?
What's going on with the mine industry here is that it's in trouble. The sector is in decline, and that has allowed a situation where there is competition from start-up unions. And when there is that competition, there is conflict and there is tension. So earlier in the year, we saw 3 people killed in union rivalry, and that strike closed the mine for 6 weeks. So it's in this heightened recession, really, and fading demand from China, lack of foreign investment, that there is this greater competition. And things in South Africa, and it is sadly one of the legacies of apartheid, they do get violent quite quickly. We see it not only with strikes and conflict and tension in the mining sector, but we see it in protests. We've seen them recently in Cape Town, where there are protests over water, electricity, basic services. People get killed at those protests because violence has become a language here in South Africa. And, in a situation like this where the police feel that they've got no other choice but to use it and use force, people get hurt and people get killed.
Tanya, thanks very much indeed for updating us. Tanya Page on the ground there at the scene of those shootings in South Africa.